Thank
to
you.
introduce yourself afterwards. Talk to him. He's a wonderful man. He is a professional speaker and author, and his first book, called Communication Culture, The Playbook to End Division at Work and Move Team Members to Teammates, releases next Thursday, September 14th. He owns and operates his own business called Conn Coaching and Consulting. On one side of the business, he speaks to students in schools and helps them navigate their social, emotional issues. And to date, Mike has led 903 sessions in public schools, and he's excited to begin year 7. The other side of this is called the People Lab, where he solves the problem of division and disunity in the workplace. He's led 522 sessions for chambers of commerces, businesses, and nonprofit organizations. He's also the project coordinator for a new community initiative called Duncan Heart Soul, which he's going to be sharing about that with us today. And his mission is simple. He doesn't want to just see people, he wants to help people feel seen and feel valued. He says this business is his second greatest work of his life so far, next to being Gina's husband, Rayleigh Jackson and Jacob's daddy, and Aiden's father-in-law. So please give a warm welcome to Mike Conn.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be with you guys today. Thank you so much. To jump start, organizations don't drift towards unity, they must be led there. And they're led there by you, they're led there by me, they're led there by us. If we just kind of sit back and play catch, it's amazing. It happens at your home, with your family, it happens at your work, it happens at schools, it happens all over the place. So what we want to do is we want to bring that up just at the very beginning and say, if we just wait and let it correct itself, whatever that means, it's not going to. Build it and they will come is a great premise for a baseball movie from 1989. It's a terrible strategy for community development and community engagement. So this project is really all about us not saying what's wrong with Duncan. There are lots of folks who have had lots of opinions about that. My favorite thing that's happened so far was when you got a chance to stand up and brag about somebody for doing something good. Even though I'm not sure that I know anyone who was bragged on today. But that whole idea, that whole vibe of looking for what's right, there's this word, I think it's one of the most powerful 3-letter words in the English language, and it's one that most people are forfeiting. It's for, F-O-R. I refuse to be known by what I'm against. Am I against some stuff? Yeah, probably. Who cares? I want to be known by who I'm for. And I think most people wouldn't say I want to be known by what I'm against, but most of the coffee talk, most of the cooler talk, even after the game on Friday, hey man, the game on Friday was amazing. I've got 2 giant toddlers who are playing football, and man, they gave so much great effort, and they almost pulled it out. And even still, most of what we hear. Now, I had some really good conversations here today with you about the effort that they gave. But you hear people all the time saying this is what's wrong. Well, if I were the coach, I'd do it. If I were this, I would do that. And I'm not mad. You've got preferences, and so do I. We've got to lean into that. What I'm saying to you is you matter. Duncan matters too much to hope that it gets better. I don't believe, and don't get me wrong, I think we have a great history. We moved in on, my first Sunday was Easter Sunday in 2015. My family's been here for 8 years and I love it. And we've had chances to go other places. If you've had any chance to go somewhere else, please raise your hand. Of course you have. And you're gonna have more, but you're still here. And that means you and we get to be part of the solution. And I think this program, Duncan Heart and Soul, it's a great opportunity for all of us to, there's always something to fix, but I'm talking about to celebrate what's right. We'll have lots of opportunity for that. It's a resident-driven process that engages the entire population of a town, identifying what they love most about the community. And I think this is a great place to start that conversation. There have been lots of conversations behind the scenes about this. I was first approached August of 2021 about this project. And so even though you may not have heard lots of things about it, it's been kind of working in the background a little bit, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it today. One of my favorite things about it, it's developed and field tested over a decade in partnership with over 100 small cities and towns across America. It's based out of Vermont, but we're the first one in Oklahoma to go through it. And I know some things about Duncan, and I know we don't mind being first. And this is a good opportunity for us to lead and lead well. There's one community in Texas who's gone through it and one community in Kansas. So when you look at the map, right in the middle, like it's wide open for us. And it's not to beat our chest and lead the way. It's to look and see how much this is going well. We believe the strength of every community lies in the hands and the hearts of people who live there. And when I say that, regardless of the crowd, I don't get angry eyebrows, finger in your face. I get a lot of amen. Yeah, of course, because you live here. Like, this is for people who live, work, and play here, right? So this is a very easy yes. And if you've seen any of the YouTube videos that I've made, which I just started doing, if you've seen any of those, this is what I open with. You know why? Because it's an easy win. It's not tricky. And our core team is going to lead with these as well. It's based on 3 powerful principles. Number 1, involve everyone. Number 2, focus on what matters most. Number 3, play the long game. Listen, who am I talking to? People who live here, people who are from here. You're not trying to find an exit ramp to get out of here. And I think we got to be really careful when we start talking about things that are broken. And Tara mentioned I speak in schools. And the reason I started doing session schools is because I heard people say, kids these days. And then what came out of their mouth after that wasn't flattering about kids these days. And I don't think it was intentionally malicious. I think it was a little bit reminiscent. And I think a lot of times kids these days are on, Snapchat or whatever on social media, and they're like, hey, I mean, there's got to be some things that I know, especially my sons, their grandparents live here too. I'm like, hey, Big Britches, you talked to Mimi and Granddad lately? Their favorite show to watch with Mimi and Granddad? It's Andy Griffith. Call it whatever you want. Like, of course, like there's an opportunity for us to speak into the lives of the young people without saying kids these days. Because when we say kids these days, they immediately default to what's wrong or what's broken. And I know you have thoughts about kids these days, and I also know you have some encouraging thoughts about kids these days. The difference maybe between me and you is I get opportunities to say that in schools. So this isn't on the slide, but if you got a chance to walk in with me and go to the school next week when I'm in a school at a different community, but if you got a chance to come with me and talk to the high schoolers, what's one thing you would want to say to them from you? Something you think is good about high schoolers, teenagers, kids these days. What's one thing you would say that would be good that I could relay on your behalf?
Apply yourself.
Yeah, apply yourself. Okay, what else?
Thank you for being young and youthful.
Your whole face smiled, Patty, when you said, hey, I thank you for being young and youthful. Yeah. Hey, listen, do I always agree with the decisions that they make? Of course not. But I don't always agree with the dude in the mirror either. If I had a chance to do some mulligans or to do some do-overs or Bill Murray and be Groundhog Day, like I would for sure do some things differently. But I think in leadership, when we go sideways is when we start leading towards agreement instead of alignment. And it really is looking about what's best for the community as a whole. And so I think we've got lots of opportunities to do that. And these 3 powerful principles, even though they didn't come from our core team here in Duncan, they're really strong. They resonate with people really well. And when someone, because the content on social media, which I'm not always on social media, but when the content from Sound Off Raw and Positively Duncan are the same thing and it ain't good, then it's an opportunity, right? We've got 86 churches in town. That's an opportunity for us to work together. That's not shame and angry eyebrows and finger in your face. We got lots of taco places and pizza places, right? It's not a competition, right? So this whole idea is to invite people to focus on what matters most. I don't talk about politics with anyone who can't divorce me. It's a short list. But the reason why is because I've seen relationships not only fractured but splintered because of someone that neither of those people have ever met. And I don't think it has to be either or. I think it's yes and. And I'm not minimizing your beliefs or anything that you think. That's not what I do. I refuse to be known by what I'm against. I want to be known by who I'm for. And not only me, but that's this program. It's all about that. Focus on what matters most. My preferences matter, your preferences matter. That's great. And sometimes we'll agree, sometimes we won't. But what matters most? And that's what we're trying to get to and bring to the forefront with this program. Everyone has the right to feel valued and respected, and everyone has the responsibility to value and respect everyone. That's not tricky. I call that People 101. But sometimes I'm not known for my encouragement. Sometimes I'm a little bit more critical. So I ask this question, hey Mark, are you being curious or being critical? And that helps me really try to answer the question that other people may think when they leave the conversation with me. This program really focuses on how we can invite everyone to the community to be part of the conversation instead of telling people what they think. Or saying, hey, we're going to do this one time, you guys come to the party. And if they can't make it for any number of reasons, like, well, this is what we decided, here's what you're going to do. There's a place for that. But you know people, well, let me ask it instead of tell you what you know. Do you know anyone in our community who feels like their voice hasn't been heard before? Yeah, of course. And this doesn't mean that the people whose voices have been heard have been saying it wrong or too loud. This is just, we got, 24,300 and change people in Duncan? And so we want to invite all of them to the conversation. So we've got a core team. The core team, as of yesterday, we've got 15 folks on the core team, and they're made up of business leaders. Is that 1 o'clock? Is that my time? They're made up of business leaders, nonprofit leaders, faith-based leaders. These are people who represent us, people from all 4 wards. We're inviting everybody to the conversation. And this is a great opportunity for us to, we're going to get lots of conversations together, and then we're going to go to wards. We're going to have regular meetings in wards. I'm a simple man. There's a song for that. I'm a simple man, and we're going to have week 1 in Ward 1, week 2 in Ward 2, week 3 in Ward 3, week 4 in Ward 4. So anyone who lives wherever they live, they'll know because we're getting the word out. This is kind of the beginning of us getting the word out. They'll know we're going to have these meetings because we're inviting you. We're not going to have like folks, like bouncers, like ward bouncers at the door, like, oh, sorry, Ward 2's next week. We're not doing that. It's just giving people lots of opportunities to be part of the conversation. And this day, if you see me the night of September the 19th, I'll probably be a little bit exhausted because this is the first day that I'm coming to our community the best way I know how. And so we're going to have informational meetings. There'll be 30 minutes apiece with the 15-minute break in between. And these are basically for industries. So we're going to have business meeting just so I can say this is what we're doing and this is how you can be involved. You can lead your business. You can lead the people that you serve, the people on your team. Here's how you can be involved. Or do the same thing for nonprofit leaders. Because sometimes nonprofit leaders feel like they get overlooked, even though there's 152 nonprofits in Stevens County, right? We want to invite everybody to the conversation. Faith-based community, we're going to invite those leaders too. We'll probably put them last because if you know some preachers that like to talk a little. I had the opportunity, the honor to serve in the local church for 2.5 decades. There's a reason I'm putting that one at the end of the day. Education group, medical, government, we're bringing all of these folks. I'm not trying to segregate everybody at once, even though that looks like I am, because I want to speak to your niche. And this is the overall scope of the project, and this is how you can be involved. And from there, you know people that I don't know, so you're going to be able to tell them some things that I won't be able to tell them because I won't be able to see them, right? And then you'll have a calendar, this is when we're starting our regular meetings beyond that. Lots of different opportunities. That morning, I just scheduled it this morning, so I didn't have time to put on my slide. We're going to meet at Jimmy's Egg for everybody 60 and up because there's no steps. There's the meeting at the Garden Ballroom's on the 3rd floor, but we're also going to meet at Jimmy's Egg with folks 60 and up because there's no steps. Because I don't want anyone to feel like their voice doesn't matter. And the night before that, I'm going to meet with 20-somethings, but I'm not calling it a meeting, I'm calling it a gathering. Yeah? Trying to know your audience a little. And I don't know how long that's going to be or where it's going to be, but I want the 20-somethings to know too, hey, listen, you're part of the solution. This isn't a kids these days, finger in your face, part of the problem. We're trying to fix your mess. This is where we are. We want to invite everybody to be part of the conversation. So you're going to see some videos on YouTube. Even if you say, I'm not on YouTube, that's okay. I also share it on Facebook and Instagram and some other places. Because some people take the paper. If you take the Duncan banner, please raise your hand. Fantastic. Way to go. Not everybody does. And so we're going to put some of the same conversations we would put in print, we're going to put them online. And when we do that, we're giving people handles and saying, hey, please share it. Please share it with somebody else. We're going to have lots of little videos. Part of the reason we're having videos is because this whole scope of this project is stories. It's not what do I love about Duncan. I got a list. But why are you still here? Why you're not stuck here. What do you love about Duncan? So that's the question. What do you love about Duncan? So, what I love to do, if you've seen me talk at the chamber, you know that I love to do this with your chats around the table. I want to give you 2 minutes at your table to say, go around the table, what do you love about Duncan? Because it matters. What you love about our community matters. And that's the foundation of what this project's all about. You have stories to tell, and we want to hear them. So right now, what I'd love for you to do, hey Tara, can you be the timekeeper on this? Fantastic. So you got 2 minutes around your table. What do you love about Duncan? Ready, go. Nobody sits alone.
Hey, all right.
Good. What do you love about Duncan?
Just the one feeling that the whole community gives. My favorite story to tell is when I came to do my interview for this job. I walked into Walmart and a lady asked me how I was doing, the door beater. And I just walked past her and she grabbed my arm and asked if I was okay. And that is what Duncan is.
Oh man, so good.
And it wasn't just the one time. I mean, it happens daily, weekly. I mean, it just always happens. And that's the great thing about Duncan.
That's so awesome.
That's why I stay.
Man, that's so cool. Well, and people who've always lived here, they probably don't, maybe they don't get the question, or maybe they're just like, oh, that's no big deal, it happens everywhere.
Right. It doesn't
I
happen
love
everywhere.
that. No, it doesn't. So, of course, I want to put that on a video.
Yeah.
But
100%.
pass that around there. Man, I mean, that's such a great story. I love that it's the people. It's always the people, right? We don't have to have a crisis to come together. But when there is one, for sure, bank on it.
Yep.
And I love that. And it's not like that every other place, but that's not the question.
Yeah.
Because it is like that here. I would agree with that.
I mean, it's the culture, and hopefully that'll never die.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Well, and that's why I'm really glad to have the opportunity here to talk about it, because all of these people are involved in more than just Rotary. And so that's what I want to try to kind of end on, let them know. Appreciate you, man. Thanks
here,
for
brother.
telling me the story again. Time? All right. So did you learn anything new from did you learn anything new about somebody at your table? Okay, that's not really my question. My real question is, did you have anything in common with anyone at your table that said something they loved about Duncan? That's not tricky. No matter where you've been, someone well-intentioned, maybe with a jacket, maybe not, said, hey, what do you love about where you are? And you'd say what I said, oh, it's the people. It's always the people. And then they turn around and they say, hey, what's one thing you'd change if you could? And I smile and say, it's probably the people, right? Like it's not tricky. It's always the good parts, the people, and some of the other parts, the people too. But one of the reasons I'm really excited to finish announcing this here is because none of you are only involved in the Rotary. Whatever it is that you do, all the other places that you go, you're going to see a lot of other people doing lots of different things, people you see in lots of different places. And at some point, someone's going to say, hey, what's this heart and soul thing all about? And they'll probably angry eyebrows and arms kind of like this and ready to say why it's going to fail. Because we've already tried this, and this, and it's not going to be any better, yada, yada, yada. And when they do, what I'd love for you to do is I'd love for you to get a drink of water. Let them say whatever's on their mind. Help them feel seen and feel heard. And then you can smile and say, well, that hasn't been my experience. And then you come back and say, this is what I love about Duncan. There's a nice lady who was paying her electric bill. And she walked out. I was walking to my car. She was walking to her car. I made sure she knew I was already heading out. I wasn't following her. And I said, hi, my name is Mike. I'm the project coordinator of this new project in town. It's about what do we love about Duncan? Do you mind if I ask you a question? And she said, go ahead. And I said, what's your name? She goes, Betty. I said, okay, hey, Miss Betty, what do you love about Duncan? And she goes, and she said some things that I won't repeat. And I didn't say, yeah, but, and then start talking about what was great about it. And I didn't have a bottle of water, but I smiled and I said, I understand. But what's one thing that you do like? Or yes, and, because I'm a yes and guy. Yes, I understand that frustration. And what's one more reason why you still live here? And then she said some nice things and her face changed a little. And I said, what would be one thing that you really love that we used to have that we don't have? She goes, a bowling alley. I love to bowl. Meemaw taught me how to bowl and how to keep score. She always destroyed me in bowling. And her tone softened, and she wasn't in nearly as big a hurry to get to her car. She's talking about bowling. And she said, you know what else? We need a good restaurant. I said, well, what do you have in mind? She goes, Chili's. I said, listen, I can't be trusted around the Southwest egg rolls. Like, it's not good. It's not good for me. And I invested 4 minutes of my day in a conversation with a nice lady named Betty that I for sure would have walked past. There are people like that all over with you. And so if what's wrong with Duncan is neon light shining in your mind, I'm not saying you shouldn't have that. I'm saying take a breath, take a drink of water. Yes, we have areas to improve for sure. What's great about it? Why are you still here? And I would listen, get ready. Am I going to bring a phone to your face? Not without your permission, as far as you know. But to be able to tell the stories, we would love to have those stories, because that is some of the best parts of what's right with Duncan. And that's what this program is all about. Thank you guys so much for inviting me to come today.
I know we're running behind a little bit, but if anybody does have just a quick question about the program, since we did rush them off, do we have any? Somebody got to get back to work.
So, it started in Vermont.
Yes.
So what kind of, how long ago and what kind of results have they seen in cities where this has been going on for a while?
Great question. Thank you. It started in Vermont, and they've been doing this for about 10 years. And one of the biggest things they've seen is community engagement rise across almost every community. Specifically, one of the ways you measure that is people who would go to the city council meetings. Because there are a lot of people who had lots of ideas of what was wrong with the city and how they'd fix it. But they never were voicing it to the people who could do something about it. They were talking about it with other folks who can't fix it, right? And so I can't remember which town it's in. It was in Rhode Island. And they had like a 400% increase in their community engagement at the council meetings. Because what they saw is people said, oh, well, there are other people looking to see what's right too. It's not like people are just trying to say, here's what's wrong, here's how we're going to mess up your life. So the community engagement was a gigantic success. It's one of the reasons why we're doing it. And really a lot more togetherness. So even with what Dr. Byerly is doing at the football stadium with some of the reserve seating and some of these other unification things that are already happening here, this is a good opportunity for us to lean into that. And instead of, wagging our finger saying why we disagree with it, we have a chance to say, wow, how can we support you? Because when you ask, how can I support you? How can I be part of the solution? Most of the time people are quick to answer that. So that's a huge thing that we've seen just across the board. And the great part is, yes, I'm a project coordinator, but I've got a couple of lifelines to that group that has the traction and the track record of what they've done. And it's one of those programs where they're saying, here are, like 6 playbooks or something. Like, here are lots of guidelines, but we want you to make it your own. Because what will work in Duncan may not work in Maine, or may not work in California or wherever some of these other places have been. So that's a huge victory that they've seen, and it really does come from more people feeling seen and valued and feeling like they're called on to be part of the solution. I could say a lot more, but that's in a nutshell one of the big wins for it. Great question. Anybody else? I would say if you do have any other questions, that's my work cell phone number up there, and that's my email address. I would love for you to send me an email and ask me specific questions, and I'll give you specific answers.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Mike.